What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another Football Manager 2022 video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about what I think is potentially the most important aspect of Football Manager, and that is your squad dynamic and keeping your players as happy as humanly possible. Yes, you can just win your games, it can be that easy, but there are so many things as part of the Dynamics tab that I think you guys need to be aware of, and we're going to touch on some of them today. We're going to talk about the club hierarchy, we're going to talk about the club happiness screen and the promises that you make to players, plus I'm going to give you a little tip towards the end about something you can add into your training to make things even better. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. So guys, we are going to start on the overview page of the dynamics section. Now this is kind of as far as a lot of players will come with this, and you can kind of see already the main information that you need to see. You can see what the team cohesion's like, you can see what the atmosphere within the club is like, and you can also see what your managerial support is like. You can also see the issues that you've got and the top influences in your club. This gives you a little brief snapshot of what all the other tabs put together for you, and makes it a little bit more easy to digest. But there is so much more detail in some of the other pages. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about what these are individually, and then we're going to go through things in a little bit more detail. So initially, team cohesion, as you can see here, the players have forged an extremely strong understanding in my save with Red Star over in 𝘼𝙗𝙤. The save that I'm doing live on YouTube, please do come and check it out. I will be live on the day that this video goes live in the evening with this particular save. But this has been over a couple of seasons now. We're in our 4th season, and you know, things are going quite well, so that's obviously why the team cohesion is good. But there are some positives to this. The team's collective mental state has been improved. The team this will improve player positioning during matches, which is a very big thing, and players will experience an improvement to their vision and reactions to events unfolding when playing. So that is why having good team cohesion is super important. Then we move on to the club atmosphere. Our club atmosphere at the moment is excellent. The players are enjoying playing together and are pulling in the same direction and should have no cause for complaint other than the most serious of issues. Now you can see our recent form is in there. As you can see as well, we have 2 players that are currently unhappy at the club, which I will touch upon in a minute, but we do have 53 very happy players, which is fantastic, including 26 out of our first team. Many players who share similar friends in the squad, also have players who share nationalities and players that speak a common language, which definitely helps in the club. You don't want to be pulling in players from every corner of the globe and none of them being able to communicate with each other. So you really do need to be aware of these sorts of things when you are signing players as well, and how it will impact your club atmosphere. Then finally on this, we are going to touch on the managerial support. Now I said I'm in 4 seasons deep with this save, so my managerial support is pretty good. We've been very good as well, but as you can see, I've got strong relationships with a number of players, good reputation compared to the players now, spent a good period of time at the club. Obviously I've been here 4 years and I've got a strong influence over them as well. We do have top influencers, but I will talk about that in a second, and we do have the issues within the club. Now these aren't the only issues within the club, but you can see 𝘼𝙗𝙗 wants to start more games, and 𝘼𝙗𝙗 here wants to go out on loan to secure a permanent move. We can do both of those, but I have, as you can see, promised them that we will try and do these things for you. But let's go into the squad hierarchy. So this is the second tab on here, and this is where you can see your different tiers of your team. So it's important to have team leaders. If you don't have team leaders, try and find some. Now these are either players that have been at the club for a long period of time, that fit all the club culture, the club criteria, or they have a much better personality than some of the others. You, of course, as the manager, as you can see here, I am top of the tree. Then we have 3 team leaders, which is a nice level. We've got 5 players that are highly influential, and then a group of influential players, and then a group of other players. As you can see with some of these guys, Cabbage is a guy who's on loan, 𝘼𝙗𝙗, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙗 are younger players, so, and obviously all the ones without faces are younger players as well, so you can kind of see that they haven't really moved up the pecking order just yet. But it is important to have team leaders. I rely on my team leaders a lot. When there is a general bit of unhappiness in there, we can actually go in and get the team leaders to kind of figure stuff out. Our assistant manager gives us a little bit of feedback as well, basically saying that our team leaders are well established within the squad and have been here for a long period of time and understand the culture. They're also saying that certain players are approaching the peak of their career should be looking to build around them and maximize their abilities, which we can definitely do. And it's saying Petrovic, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 and the 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 are all happy at the club, and this should keep the morale up throughout the squad. So basically what it's saying here is if we've got team leaders, keep the team leaders happy, and that will filter through the rest of the squad. If your team leaders are unhappy, that unrest will filter through the squad pretty darn quickly as well. If you click on yourself, for instance, you can see here that we have how players support you. So as you can see here, the players are very happy with me leading the club and are looking for a future, looking forward to the future with me at the helm. Strong relationship with a number of players, also have good reputation compared to the players. Again, it's some of the stuff we touched on earlier. But we have 25 players in the squad that support me, 4 players that have no real opinion, and 0 players that oppose me. So we've got a youngster, the guy who wants to go out on loan, another youngster, and a guy on loan from PSG. Everybody else within the club hierarchy supports me, which is fantastic. You can also check out the social groups, which is the next tab, but you can say, here we go, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, he's my captain. So you can kind of see who fits into his social group. They are all highlighted in red here in this particular instance, and it gives you a little bit of stuff about him. So he's got a long-standing squad member, he's got a good reputation, he's our captain, and he's set for regular playing time, which of course he will be getting as our skipper. Moving down, he's part of the core social group, which I will touch on next. Basically people who have been at the club for a long period of time, speak the same language, similar ages, have the same sort of interests, and all of that good stuff. And his dynamic is excellent, but we will move on to that very, very shortly. Talking about these social groups, this kind of breaks down everything. So this is my core social group. You have a secondary social group, and then you have an others section. Basically, these are the people who get on with each other. It's good to have a team leader in each of these, but you can't really set it. It's all just about how their personalities mesh together, which is really, really important. Luckily for me, in my core social group and my secondary social group, I have a team leader at least in each of those. The one that I've just noticed, which I wasn't aware of before, was 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, my star striker, is currently sat in the other section. So we maybe need to figure out how we can try and get him into one of these 2 social groups. But the next page is all where it is for me. This is the happiness tab. Now you can kind of see everything, and it is broken down into the squad hierarchy as well. So we've got our team leaders at the top, highly influential players, and then the other players at the bottom. But this page basically breaks down every asset of how a player can be feeling and tells you with smiley faces. So let's start at the top. You can see here Petrovic has a perfect morale. He couldn't be any better. He's currently satisfied with training, his treatment at the club itself, the management, his agreed playing time, and his overall happiness is delighted. On the other side of the coin, we have 𝘼𝙗𝙪, his morale is quite good, and obviously the better players feel, the better they perform on the pitch. So you're kind of going to want to take this into consideration. He's delighted with training, he's satisfied with his treatment, he's happy with the club itself, he's happy with management, he's just concerned about his overall playing time, which was one of the promises mentioned earlier, which is giving him an overall happiness of slightly unhappy. As we can understand, he's not playing as much as he would want to, so we need to go and remedy that. And as you can see in the promises column, I have issued a promise to 𝘼𝙗𝙪 that he is going to start playing more games, which is kind of self-explanatory. He is one of our best players. He's quite tired at the moment, hence why he's set for a rest, but we need to try and balance that to make his overall morale move up, especially as he's a highly influential player. On the other side, we have 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 here. We have a promise to him as well, and his promise is that we are going to win a domestic cup. Now, that's a target. That's something that he wanted. That's something that when we signed a new contract with him, he wanted as part of his stipulation. So when you have these promises, you need to make sure that you try and follow them through. Don't try and promise them things just to get them at your club, especially if you don't think that you can do it. There's so many things that come in when you try and sign a player, making sure that you bring in a friend of theirs, making sure that you improve the coaching team. If you don't think that's possible, try and not have it in the contract negotiation, especially if they're a team leader, because I really don't want to set up 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 here. So if we don't win a domestic cup within a couple of years, he is going to start to feel a little bit frustrated, and then that, as I said, will filter down through the rest of the team. If you keep control of your team leaders and your highly influential players, and you keep making sure that they are happy, that is the best thing that you can do. Obviously, I am worried about some of these others here. 𝘼𝙗𝙪, he is dissatisfied with the club. And if you see some of these, obviously mine's purple on this particular skin. It's the Vince skin, link down below in the description. Just hover over it. And you can kind of see he's dissatisfied with his situation at the club. The negative is he's got a pre-concern, is starting to feel like he deserves a new contract. So if you go in and you can keep a handle on these things, you can kind of stop issues before they materialize and get any worse. If we move down, starting to deserve a new contract, move down, he wants a new contract as well. So these three players here all want new contracts. If I go and give them a new contract, they will become more happy, or at the very least satisfied with the club. We've got a concern here, 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩. He is concerned about his training. He's unhappy with his training at the moment, but that is because if I go onto his profile, you can kind of see he's a central midfielder, and I'm trying to teach him how to play right back because I think he's got the attributes for it. I'm lacking at right back. So if we go into his training, as you can see, he is not doing that. I was telling him to be a right back. Come on, this is not what we needed. Fullback on support, that's what I'm trying to train him to do, and he's a little bit unhappy with it, but that's to be expected. And then obviously we've got the other guy who is unhappy with his playing time because he wants to go out on loan, which we have promised him. So that is the happiness tab, guys. I check into this tab every couple weeks probably, just to make sure that everyone's happy. Obviously we've got promises that we need to sort out, and 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩 is only content at the club because he's technically not our player anymore. He is now a Manchester United player after selling him for almost £10 million. There's other things that you can do though, guys. You can have team meetings. I always butcher team meetings, but they are a really good way of improving your squad dynamic. So we're going in, and we've been doing really well recently, so I'm going to say the recent spell of form it's a perfect platform to take our game to the next level and really push towards our targets. Let's make this happen. Everyone is happy with that. 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩, one of my highly influential players, is chipped in as well. You heard the boss. It's time to step up and show everyone what we can do. I can now reinforce that positive by saying that is exactly the sort of reaction I was after. Pleased with everyone who agrees. And you can say thank you very much, guys. End your team meeting. And there you go. Everyone's morale has kind of slightly improved. It's not a huge impact, but everyone's morale has gone slightly up from what it was. So everyone is happy. We keep that dressing room atmosphere very high. But you can also use team meetings if things are going the other way. You can kind of use them to G up your team. I usually have a little bit of a knack of messing up my team meetings, but it's definitely something that you can do. A tactic and a tip that was told to me by 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩 in his video that he did with 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩, which isn't something that I've done before, so I will link DM's video down below because it was very useful. He goes into his individual training as well and goes in, and everybody above an 8, so in this instance Petrovic up, so all of these guys every week he would go in and praise them for their training. So let's go into 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪𝙩. This week he's on at a 9.5. We can go into the player profile and you can speak to them, discuss, praise player for training / development, and then you go in here and you can put your arm around him and say, I really wanted to say really well done on how you've trained of late, keep it up. And again, his morale has improved. He appreciates the kind words and he appreciates me having the chat with him. On the other side of the coin, you can criticize people for their training performance as well. Some of these guys aren't training particularly well, but you can go in and criticize them and hopefully you have a positive reaction. Whilst we are talking on training, my little tip for you guys is in your schedules, make sure you have a team bonding session. If we go into my schedules here, we've got a team bonding session here just before our game, which improves happiness, greatly increased, team cohesion is increased, attributes in terms of teamwork is worked on, and the upcoming match teamwork is worked on as well. I think these are vitally important for your team and making sure that you have them in your schedule. They're really easy to go in and add in. If you don't have them in your schedule as well, you can just click on a schedule and change things here. Like for instance, if I wanted to change this rest, you click on the rest button and then you go in and you say we want to do an extracurricular, and there is team bonding there. So I can put in the team bonding section in there. If you want things to be a little bit easier, go and download my schedules. I've done a video on training schedules on YouTube as well, and you can get these custom training schedules. I've got my 1 game week. I've got team bonding set up there. If you've got 2 games in a week, I've got a 2 game week. Don't get me wrong, the team bonding is still there. We are working on things. We are trying to make things as happy as humanly possible at the club to make the results on the pitch as good as possible. And ultimately, I think this has been working for me. These tips will make your squad happier. These tips will make your team perform better on the pitch, and hopefully you'll thank me later. If you have enjoyed this video and you've learned something new about dynamics and happiness within your team, please do drop a like on the video down below. Subscribe if you are picking up things for the first time. And until next time, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I'll see you on another one very, very soon.